Woo! What a performance tonight from the Utah Hockey Club as they go down to Dallas. They avoid the season sweep to the terrific Dallas Stars, and they find a way. They find a way to come away with a big 5-3 victory over the Stars. This is After the Buzzer. My name is Keith Schertz. Welcome. I run things around here at Hive State Hockey, where we occasionally put up videos that provide it, but mostly do these After the Buzzer, after games. Volume is off on a bit on my end, Scotty says. Okay, it looks good to me on this side. Can you not hear me? Give me more information there, Scotty. I'm going to keep going. My name is Keith Schertz, and this is After the Buzzer. If this is your first time here, welcome. I hope you're enjoying your way here. Give me the old thumbs up if you can hear me. Go ahead and click that like button. Oh, okay, all right. Click the like button on the stream. I'd really appreciate that if it's your first time here. Also, if it's not your first time here, I'd also like you to hit that like button, help people find the stream, help share, evangelize what we do here. We have a great little community where we talk a little bit about the Utah Hockey Club. And for Scotty and Car Wash, we welcome you back here, and we congratulate you on your tremendously fine taste. Okay. Wow. What a game, huh? So that's what happens when you run a successful power play. Turns out that when you have more guys on the ice than the other team, it gives you a greater chance for possession and then puts you in a position to score lots of goals. So, now part of it was they were able to generate penalties because they were skating hard. Kesselring was skating hard. He got hooked by Granlund, right? Ian Cole was being a pest. Bork held his stick. You got Ian Cole again. I'm sorry. I got it backwards. One more. I got it fixed now. Oscar Bach, right? He held the stick he high-sticked Kesselring, right? Keller got roughed up a little bit. He took some of the damage at the end of the first period. Petrovic, right? High-sticked Kevin Stenlin. You got Duchesne. He hooked Cooley because they was working too hard. So when you have those getting drawn, you give yourself a really great opportunity, right, over and over again. And this team, based on the rest of the year, would have scored just 1 out of 4. And if they do that, they lose this game. But today, they execute on the power play. Both the first and second units come away with goals. And when you go 4-on-4 on the power play, you know, because you have an extra man and you should be attacking and you get pucks to the net and you cause all sorts of problems, you know, DeSmith is in net. You should do good against the backup goalie for the Dallas Stars. You should have a way to give them all sorts of trouble in front of their net and find ways to get goals in. And it was, you know, excellently done. They scored mostly by getting to the tough areas of the ice on these power plays. The Sean Dursey goal from the point, it went through a few people, but again, Cooley and McBain were in front of the net. They had caused all sorts of trouble in that circumstance. Josh Doan, he got a goal by being in the tough areas of the ice. Nick Schmaltz scored from the bumper spot. So again, so much of what they've done all year on the power play was to work from the right wing circle, left wing circle, shooting from the face-off dots and kind of working from the outside or giving it to Sergachev at the top and letting him kind of slice one towards the net. What we saw was a lot more action where the players in front of the net were getting rebounds, they were causing havoc, and we were sending pucks to the net and letting things happen. And so it was great to see a lot more positive movement and a lot more effectiveness in front of the net. Essentially, of the power play goals, 3 out of 4 came out of getting to the tough areas of the ice and making tough guy goals. That's great. And then occasionally you're going to squirt one through if you're Sean Durzi and find a way into the back of the net. That's great too. But the process which they were following with Sean Durzi, where he risked one towards the net and it found a way in, the process is beautiful, right? Those are all those things, because again, it's just trying to get you in a spot where you are putting the puck to the net, giving guys chances to get rebounds and take shots from point blank. You can get those shots because you have one more player on the ice than the other team. So 4 for 4 tonight on the power play. Definitely the best night they've ever had from a power play perspective. So congratulations to the Utah Hockey Club for their execution on the power play. Obviously, they gave up the one shorty along the way. But again, those things don't matter. I mean, if you're going to get opportunities on the power play and you're lethal on it and you go 4 for 4, like, you're not going to lose very many games if you're perfect on your power play opportunities, especially when you draw 4 penalties. So they were really good tonight. They were really good, but it was taking advantage of the power play. The rest of the time, 5-on-5, they only generated 1 goal in 5-on-5, right? Same goes for Dallas. But part of why Dallas is one of the best teams in the NHL is they're good at killing penalties. Not tonight, but at other times they're good at killing penalties, and they're really good when they're on the power play. So that's how those things go. Interesting game too. I thought it was spirited. It wasn't the hardest played game I've ever seen. Clearly, Dallas knew they were locked in to being the 2 seed. They knew that they weren't going to be one of the. They weren't going to win the Central. They were locked into that spot, so they knew where they were going to be, and Utah obviously knew they were out. So that's the way that thing worked out overall. But by and large, everything went really well for Utah. I thought that the performance tonight for the team was really strong, and again, Barrett Hayton. I've said it before the season. I've said it throughout the season a few times. But Barrett Hayton, in so many ways, is the key on the time frame in which the Utah Hockey Club find themselves in playoff and cup contention. I've mentioned this before, but Barrett Hayton leads the Utah Hockey Club in expected goals this season. Not goals, but goals that he was supposed to score. Okay? Yes. Scott, yes. When a team has nothing to play for, they see what the backup can do, they rest their starter. So, yeah, there's a reason Jake Ottinger wasn't in. It was DeSmith. Dallas was certainly preparing themselves for the postseason, finishing their season out, and that's why we saw DeSmith tonight. But still, hey, you still got to put pucks past whoever's in the net. So, Scotty, we'll take it. But it is interesting to kind of think about all of the kind of difficulties that, this scenario puts the Utah Hockey Club in as they continue to play out their final 2 games. They'll play on Monday, and then they have Tuesday, and then it's the off season. One of the big things that I have been thinking about and that I wanted to just discuss briefly, and I'll commit to this on Monday after the game against Nashville. I'll have more graphics and things ready to go so that we can discuss this with even more precision. But, there's 4 ways to get a player on your team. Yeah. He is quality. He's pretty good. There's 4 ways to get a player on your team. Okay? You get them through the draft. You get them through a trade. You get them through a free agency. Or you get them through an offer sheet. And the offer sheet is it is a different form of free agency. So The way the NHL works is that there are two forms of free agency. There are people who are unrestricted free agents. Anybody can go for these players. There is no claim that the initial team has to these players. They are absolutely anybody's game to go get. So that is the first kind of free agency. The second kind of free agency is a restricted free agency. And this is in place in order to help star players and help franchise retain young talent that is on their team. So, the way it works in other leagues like the National Basketball Association is that when you have a restricted free agent and you try to continue to keep those players, you are only able to keep that player. The big benefit that you get in the NBA is that you can pay more money to that player than any other team. Okay. There are two forms in which hockey gives you a greater opportunity to hang on to a player. You don't necessarily have the right to pay a player more, but you can give them a longer contract than any other team. So if you take a player from another team in free agency, you can't give them as many years as the team that has the rights to that player currently. So that's number one. The other thing that they do to try to help from other teams trying to claim and go and make offer sheets on restricted free agents is they will make you have what's called a compensation pick. Meaning that based on the amount of money that you sign a restricted free agent away from another team, based on however much that costs, you will be penalized a compensation pick in which you lose future draft picks. Okay, so Evan Bouchard is a restricted free agent, and Utah could technically go out and make an offer sheet to Evan Bouchard. But some people think Evan Bouchard is going to command like $10 million. If he gets $10 million from Edmonton, then Utah would have to outbid that. So now you got to overpay for a player. But in addition to paying the money, you also then would have to give up, because if you're giving up for like $10 million player or $11 million player, it's 2 first-round draft picks, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. I will have a chart that shows you all the different levels of salary and what the compensation picks are and what you lose in the future. But the ability to go and grab a restricted free agent is really limited, especially for the top end, because the cost is not just the huge salary that you have to give and all the cap space that takes up, but also there is a huge draft suck that happens for the future of the franchise. So they're not going to do it for Evan Bouchard. It's too expensive. It would be like, it's too expensive. It's too many draft picks. It's too much money. If it's Matthew Nyes, right? A lot of people were mentioning Matthew Nyes tonight in the chat room on SCG Plus. They kept saying, oh, we should try to get our hands on Matthew Nyes. I agree. Great player. But the problem with getting Matthew Nyes is that if he is going to get like $8 million from Toronto, like the whole reason that Toronto is not going to keep Mitch Marner is because they need to pay Matthew Nyes. So we have to pay $1 million more, let's say, for Matthew Nyes, and then if we're getting him at $9 million, that costs a future first round, second round, and third round pick. So for the right to have Matthew Nyes, you are overpaying him by $1 million, and you also are giving up a future first-round draft pick, second-round draft pick, and third-round draft pick. Like, it's a bonkers thing to do. It's just too punitive However, if you can get a player in like the $3 or $4 million range, there are circumstances in which an offer sheet may make sense, where you could take advantage of a team that does not have very much cap space. Could potentially just, they're looking to just sign somebody as a restricted free agent, and then you can take them away, and you already know they're kind of a good player, a known quantity, so you make the $4.5 million deal for them, and you give up a third-round pick. Pretty good. Pretty good. This is exactly what St. Louis did to get Holloway and the defenseman. Anyway, they picked up 2 players from Edmonton. Edmonton couldn't match because they needed the space, because they know they have Evan Bouchard coming up. They know that they've got to pay Connor McDavid. They're paying lots of money for a lot of really good players at this point. So you can take advantage of teams that do not have cap space and have these quality depth players who may be young that may turn into a top pair or, top 6 sort of player. So the question is will Utah be on the hunt from an offer sheet perspective? Typically not something that's been done, but they have cap space, and they could potentially take advantage of a team that does not have cap space and get their hands on a pretty good, proven, restricted free agent. So I will have a list of those restricted free agents. And yes, Matthew Nyes is Arizona born and raised. I think he's from Arizona. I don't know if he's born there, but I know he's from Arizona. I think you're right about that, Scott. Anyway, all right. You like them trying to get Nikolai Ehlers. Yeah. Strong player. He's a strong player. That certainly makes the team a better team, no question, if they get their hands on Ehlers. Good winger. And I think the bigger thing on Ehlers is obviously he's done so much recently. Ooh, I just Googled him just to look at it real quick. He apparently had a really bad hit against the Blackhawks tonight. Ooh, yuck. All right. Well, anyway, he's an interesting player. There's a lot of guys. I think the Brock Nelson thing, I think we've talked about that before, Scotty. I think that would be a cool player for Utah to potentially target. I don't know that Brock Nelson's interested in coming to Utah. I think that Utah's too far away and he's too old, and so the timeline there is not strong enough. And beyond that, we're going to have him for a lot of years, and now we're paying a guy a lot of money when he's like 37. That's not great. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what free agency brings. I have a little suspicion. I think that they're probably going to be in the business of offer sheeting. I just have a little bit of a feeling, because it's usually a younger player. It's a player that's 1 or 2 years away, and it's a player that you can really take advantage of another team because they may not have the space. Here we go. Couple players. I'll read these out. Yeah. Mitch Marner is a unrestricted free agent, and we can definitely go and get him if he's interested in playing in Utah. That'll be an interesting thing to find out. Okay. Gabe Vilardi, pretty good. That'd be a good one. I don't think they want to build on their blue line. I don't think they want to build on their blue line. Just because they already have all the players under contract. I think they like Dmitry Shimashev. He's done in the KHL. I think there's a really good chance he'll be on the Utah Hockey Club next year. They could sign Trevor Lewis. Yep, that might be interesting. That could be a good one. How about this one? I like Marco Rossi from the Minnesota Wild. That'd be a good one, I think. Okay. And then, if they wanted to, they could mess with Anaheim a little bit. They could go for Mason McTavish. So anyway, there's some players. I'll have a better list for you of guys I think that they should consider. The one thing that I would just warn about is there's other players. I don't know if Trevor Lewis is going to keep playing car wash. He's pretty old. He's like a fourth liner. He's a good journeyman player, and he's a real solid part of that LA Kings team. He's almost more valuable to the Kings than he would be anybody else. But it would be cool to have him because he's a local. There's no doubt of that. Tonight, wanted to mention quickly, Logan Cooley got to his 60th point of the season. He was the best player for the Utah Hockey Club tonight. A goal, 2 assists. On that goal, he got to .60. He's up to 62 on the season. But that triggers another ELC bonus for him. So Logan Cooley collects another $250,000 and is likely to max out his $1 million in bonuses. He's up to $750,000. The only thing that's left is for him to see where he ranks at the end of the season on the team, but it's very, very good. Very, very good. I like the thinking, Scotty. It's a really smart idea with Ehlers. I don't know. What is the cap scenario? Let me just look this up quickly. What is the cap scenario for Winnipeg? I'm looking. The Jets. Oh, yeah. No, this is a team that... It's a good one. That's a good suggestion, Scott, because the Jets, they have $1.2 million in cap space. And yeah, now Ehlers is an unrestricted free agent. Yeah, they've got a lot of people. Brandon Tabbett, I follow. Mason Appleton, they're going to want to retain him, I think. And then they've got 3 RFAs to manage there. Yeah. Pionk, do you like Neil Pionk? You need any more help on your blue line? Again, we talked about that. Probably not. Yeah, that's a good one to keep an eye on. Nikolai Ehlers. He's making $6 million right now. He's 29. He's probably going to want like 7 years. Means you got him until he's like 36, 37. Probably could get him at maybe a number like 8. Probably 8 million. Yeah, it's possible. That probably... that soaks up the majority of what you can try to accomplish. And so the question is does a player like Nikolai Ehlers solve what you're looking for? Does that elevate the team to the next level? Maybe. It's possible. It's a good player. It's a good thought. Yeah. That's a good one. I kind of like the idea of doing Gabe Velarde, by the way, as a restricted free agent and see if you can take advantage of that scenario. So there's that. The other team that I think that you could potentially exploit and take advantage of is the Flyers. We've talked about that too. Maybe you could go get Tyson Forster and offer sheet your way to Tyson Forster. That might be a good one. Okay, so I'm looking at too many things. Let me shut a couple pages down. If the stream's a little chunky, that's where it is. Okay, so tonight I thought, again, it was good to see Sean Durzi. It was good to see him be able to get a goal and help quarterback that second group. It's something that I think that they need to take a look at in future seasons. It's something that I thought was a little bit strange from Andre Tourigny this year. I thought the way that they managed the power play in a way where they would only play the top unit for like almost 90 seconds, like almost the entire thing. And then if there was a clear, they would change, and the second unit would get like 20 seconds to try to make something happen. Like, it's just, I get that you really like what Schmaltz and Keller and Sergachev and either Hayton or Cooley and then, you know, and Gunther on the left wing. Like, I get that you like the personnel, and I get that you think that gives you the most opportunities to score tonight. But, you know, I thought it was interesting that the second unit on the power play was able to get 2 goals tonight after the first group failed. So in their short time of getting a chance to go out there and go to work, they were giving more time to that second unit. It wasn't just 20 seconds, it was like 45. But I think all season long, I mean, I just think you have a man advantage. If there's a clear and you move the puck quick enough, they may not be able to change all their killers. And then if you get your new guys on there and you go, like, there's a chance that you have fresh skaters. And even if they do switch, it's their second unit penalty killers. Like, there's a real chance to take advantage of that. And the reluctance that they've had on going to the second unit on the power play all season long. All season long. That's something that I thought that I hope that they've learned a lesson here over the last like 4 or 5 games, because I think that second unit is producing, and obviously they have the ability to go to work and do those things. All right, Scotty, what holes do they have on the team? Obviously, next season, we already know that they're going to have basically the same group. The only people that I do not think will be back, we know, I feel almost 100% certain that Nick Bukestad is not going to be on this team next year. I also do not, I just don't think they're going to re-sign him. I do not think that they're going to re-sign Michael Carconi. And then, you know, I'm not, if we're talking about Yamamoto, like, it's fine if they re-sign him. He's not a needle mover. So there are 2 spots potentially open, and there's like $8 million in cap space to do that. I think that the biggest thing that they need is they need a group, somebody that can play in the top 6, who can forecheck and work together with Barrett Hayton in the forecheck, and then find ways to get, you know. So they need wingers that can forecheck and score. So they need guys that can do both. So again, Brock Nelson makes a lot of sense to me in that setting. I don't know that Ehlers is necessarily the best. He's a good idea. It's a really good idea. I love the suggestion. But I don't know that Nikolai Ehlers is going to be a guy that solves much as it relates to the forechecking, right? But he certainly can score. But it's a good idea. I would love to see them get somebody like another player that's possible. I think it's possible. Florida, I mean, there has to be an end to the amount of money they have, and Sam Bennett can take a hometown discount for the Florida Panthers, I assume. But are we certain that he's going to want to do that for them? So I like the idea of maybe doing Sam Bennett. He's a free agent, and maybe they could go out and grab a player like him. Because I think the Sam Bennett brings so many of the things that this team could use. Mitch Marner, obviously the scoring's undeniable. He would help from a scoring perspective. I mean, the way he shoots the puck, it's impressive stuff. Maybe Brock Besser? Maybe? Yeah, that one's not terrible, right? And then, I don't know, the question, too, is like, do you bring in more of these, like, grizzled vets to try to teach the kids how to do it, you know? Do they need some more veteran voices in that can, like, show the kids, like, this is how to bring it every single night? You know, guys who've really been, I mean, that's why Sam Bennett, again, like, makes all the sense in the world. if you can get him. Obviously, he's at like $4.5 million right now. He will not be signing for that. He'll be getting a huge raise. So it'll be interesting to see what Sam Bennett commends. The other thing too is like they need wingers, but it's always good to just like stack centers and then make them play on the wing if they have a better tendency in those ways. But up the middle, we really like. Obviously, you like what Stenlin gives you as a fourth line winger, and then we really like what McBain brings in the middle with Doan and with Krause on his wings. We know what Barrett Hayton is and what the potential is. I mean, we're talking about a top 10 goal scorer in the league by expected goals. And so if his finishing ever comes along, his pedigree's there. He was the 5th overall pick in the draft. Like, this is a high-level player whose development may be a little bit behind because of COVID and injury factors, and maybe he's just now starting to have a breakthrough, but a nice 20-goal season for him this year. Is this a player that could turn into a 30-goal scorer? Well, according to the advanced stats, the answer is maybe. And obviously you have Cooley as the center. And then on the wings, so the question is, like, are they going to continue to try to what are they doing with Matias Michelli? Like, that is one of the huge questions, is what is going on with Matias Michelli. But Michelli is a left winger, Gunther's on the left wing, right? Schmaltz has been playing left wing opposite of Keller for years and years. Schmaltz is a guy that's on an expiring deal. I think there's a really good chance that maybe Nick Schmaltz is a trade chip this summer. And so they didn't do much at the trade deadline, but they did tons at the draft last year. Maybe this year at the draft, maybe it's Nick Schmaltz. Yeah, Bortuzzo, they're not going to re-sign Bortuzzo. That's not a player that they're going to keep. Beyond that, they're set on the blue line, right? I mean, they are set on the blue line. They have their guys, right? Between having Marino and Sergachev and Durzi and Kesselring and Cole and Mata, there's your 6. Beyond that, they're signing Dmitry Shimashev. They used, the 8th pick in the draft on Dmitry Shimashev. He's done with his KHL deal. He is not, like, if you're following what happens with almost all Russian prospects that are top prospects, he is not coming over here to play in the AHL. That's just not what's going to happen. Just typically speaking, that is not what's going to happen. Maybe Dmitry Shimashev will be different. Maybe Bill Armstrong can convince him in some ways to play in Tucson next year or wherever they end up having their AHL team. But the bottom line is there's a real thing. And then beyond that, they've got Valimaki. He could potentially be a 7. Yeah, Scotty, they would probably need to commit long-term to Besser. Yeah. That's the way it works. If you go get an unrestricted free agent and it's one of the top ones, like, they're all looking for a 6, 7, 8 year deal. Period. Yep. So you better really like what that player brings into the group. So anybody that's going to get $8.5 million the way Brock Besser is going to, you're probably going to have to do a 6 or 7 year deal. But they have Valimaki, and beyond that, we know that they feel good about Maverick Lamoureux. We know that they feel good about Artem Duda, Maximilian Zuber, right? Another player that they feel relatively good about. So they have 3 guys on the blue line in Tucson right now, led by Maverick Lamoureux. Plus, they're bringing in Dmitry Shimashev. So the blue line's full. They're not going to get any blue liners. So just to read that, I think Michelli could get moved. I am shocked how he has declined or not been used properly since going to Utah. Yeah. I mean, Matisse Michelli was one of the players I was most excited about coming. I wanted to see his rise. This is a skilled player. His fatal flaw in Arizona over his first 2 years was that he wasn't a strong finisher. His shot needed to improve. And then this year, he's not doing much in way of playmaking. So if you don't have a very good shot and you're not doing much to make plays, it's hard to see the ice. In that, if you don't play defense and then you're not doing a lot on offense, what are we supposed to do with you? So it's been interesting. Obviously, it's the case. As we take a look at it, and this is one of the off-season things I've already begun preparing, but one of the things that is absolutely true about Michelli is that Michelli, when he was on the third or fourth line, has been dog meat. He's been terrible. This has not been a strong performer. Not been a strong performer in the bottom six. But when there were injuries and he got to play in the top six and he was centered by Barrett Hayton or Cooley and he had an opportunity to play with, top players, he scored and had assists. And so hockey has a funny way of if the combination is better, you seem to be better. We saw this with Lawson Krause. He's on a third line with Michelli and Bukestad. It's a nightmare. Now Lawson Krause is on a third line with McBain and with Doan, and it's so much better. It's like the one thing that you can I can bank already in game 1 of next season, the third line is going to be Krause, McBain, Doan. No doubt. Whereas Michelli, when he's been in the top 6, he's been good. The question is he been good enough to replace Dylan Guenther? No. Has he been good enough to replace Nick Schmaltz? No. So, and you can't, he's not an off-wing player. You can't play him on the right wing. He wants to play on that left-hand side. A lot of the way he plays, when you're off wing, really, that's to be a one-timer guy, and he's not a one-timer guy. So, what are you supposed to do with Matisse Michelli? He doesn't belong in your top 6. The best scenario for him is to be on the second unit of a power play, but until recently, we were not giving any time to a second unit of a power play. Yeah, man. Just a really bizarre scenario as you look at what to do with Matisse Michelli. He's somebody that, if we would have traded him before this season, we could have gotten a whole lot more than we'll get for him after this season. So we'll see, but I'm certain Michelli would not want to be here. I think he's open to a change of scenery, different coach, different teammates, different scenario. Some team that's willing to play him in the top 6, who needs, who have one-timer players and plenty of beef on the forecheck, and are not interested in him, doing any sort of work on back check and all that stuff. I mean, certainly there's a spot for him in some team to be on somebody's top 6. It's just not Utah. But he needs to be in somebody's top 6. Okay, Scotty, you think they drafted a lot of European guys because they think it'll be hard to get top free agents to sign in Utah? Well, did they? This last draft. Maybe. I'm looking quickly. Last draft, they did T.J. Ginla and Cole Baudouin. So 2 first-rounders. They will not be in the team next year, almost certainly. T.J. Ginla was hurt. He's missed most of his season with Kelowna. There's a chance that he'll not be in juniors, but instead play in the AHL next year. I think he's willing to do that. Yeah, especially since he was hurt. Give him one more year to develop. Cole Bodwin, same thing. Barrie Colts. He will not be on the Barrie Colts next year. I think he will definitely be an AHL player next year. Will Skahan, but both of those guys, right? T. Ginla, Cole Bodwin, I believe, are both Canadian. Will Skahan, I believe, is a Canadian. Tomas Lavoie, he is a French Canadian. VT Väisänen, yeah, he's definitely a Euro. Gregor Bieber, Gabe Smith, Owen Allard, and then Aleche, that's one. Wojtek Hradzek, and Ludwig Lofton. So, yeah, I mean, about half of their guys were European guys. Before, when they were in Arizona, they picked up a handful of international players. In particular, most famously, it were the two picks that they had in the first round when they picked up Dmitry Shimashev and Daniel Butt. They both have been playing on Yaroslav Lokomotiv in the KHL. They're in the middle of the playoffs over there. They're both playing for Lokomotiv over in the KHL playoffs. They have a chance. But yeah. Yep. I don't know what they're going to do. I mean, honestly, Daniel Butt might be ready to go, like on the left wing. But he'll have the same problem as Michelli, but he's a much different player. He's way bigger. Like, he'll forecheck. He might be part of the solution. Maybe you go with the rookie and bring him along, and because you're not trying to lift the cup anyway next year. Yeah. The other thing, too, honestly, the biggest offseason acquisition would be, the biggest thing to happen in the offseason is to have the big, long extension of Logan Cooley. So that's the thing that matters most. Michelli would be better on a bottom six feeder like Chicago, where he can get top six ice time. Yeah, and if you're Chicago, like, you've had 2 seasons where you've only scored, like, you haven't gotten to 60 points on the season. Like, they're likely going to be terrible again next year. So if you're Chicago, why not? Right? Why not add a guy like Michelli, who showed so much promise 2 years ago and even last year and has had a down year? Maybe he'll fit better into your scenario. You can, try to build with him up here. Maybe a team like the Sharks could take a look at him. Let me take a look quickly. Other teams that might have a good top 6 spot for a left winger. It gets rough pretty quick, though. I mean, if he's going to be in the top 6, that's the part that's so difficult. Maybe the Flyers, maybe Buffalo, maybe. Yeah, but there's not that many teams, honestly, that could commit to doing that. So yeah. Okay. Thanks for that clarification, Scotty. Yeah, a lot of people in the system that are European. Yeah, no question about it. So yeah, next year's roster, it'd be really fascinating to see. I think that there's a chance that somebody might try to offer sheet McBain. And I think there's a chance that Utah will try to offer sheet a player, but it will not be one of the top ones. They're going to have to go the second tier. And then if we're talking about the ideal guy, I think the guy I'm thinking is probably Sam Bennett. He'll be a free agent. Maybe you can overpay for him. Florida is going to have to start making choices. So why not be part of, forcing their hands? Hey, if you're new here, yeah, my guy Scotty in the chat giving me a good reminder. If you're enjoying the stream, you're hanging out with us, would really appreciate it if you hit the thumbs up, the like beneath, and don't be too shy. Interact in the chat. We love talking back and forth with those of you who are checking us out. If you have questions or things that you think are worth kind of chopping up and going over, it'd be real fun to talk to you. So yeah. So that's where we're at right now. as it relates to the Utah Hockey Club. But tonight's performance, again, all comes down to having a really good, really strong power play, and I think so much of that was because it was balanced out. Okay, you would trade Ingram and replace him with a good goalie. Yeah. Ingram's an interesting case, right? Because he's had his season cut short twice now because of mental health questions. Last year, he was really good in Arizona. He was better than Vejmelka by a fair distance. This year, Vejmelka was named the team MVP by his peers. I believe in the last ever season of the Arizona Coyotes, the player that was named the team MVP was Connor Ingram. Connor Ingram, I believe, was tied for first in the National Hockey League last season in shutouts for the whole season. So, obviously, the best ability of any player is availability. And if you're not available, then that's trouble. Also, if Connor Ingram was going through real significant emotional struggle, there's no question that impacted his performance on the ice. So the question is, can you get really good reserve performances from Connor Ingram? I think the answer is yes. The question is how do you ensure that he's not going to have significant struggles in his life so that he can remain in a mindset or an energy that enables him to be able to be a effective NHL player? Big question, right? Especially for Connor Ingram more than any other player on the roster. Always a difficult thing to do, but they definitely need to look at figuring out what their plan is for a backup goalie. This thing where Veggie is we're just going to put him out there, you know. I mean, I'm starting to think that Andre Tourigny and Bill Armstrong, they just really, really, really like the movie Weekend at Bernie's. And that's what's going on. Yeah. I would love it if they could go get Connor Hellebuyck, but I don't think that they're going to get him for Connor Ingram. If they were able to, it'd be like Connor Ingram and 11 first-round picks. Something like this. But obviously having a high-end top backup goalie would be really great. I think there's a chance that Connor Ingram is that, but obviously, to your point, if you're not going to play, you can't be a good backup. Hey, one of the features that I wanted to show tonight. Yeah, maybe your point is just maybe you trade Connor Ingram and you go on. Hey, one of the best parts about hockey, we love hockey here. We're so grateful it's here in the state of Utah. It's a lot of fun. We'd like to see us be in the playoffs. We'd like to see more nights where we're good on the power play like tonight. And had they had more nights like they did tonight on the power play, they would be in the playoffs. But one of the best parts about the game of hockey is that there is tons and tons and tons of awards. There is awards for the best defensive forward, the best offensive defenseman. There are awards for being a great guy. And similarly, here on Vanquish, here on Hive State Hockey, one of the things that we do is we give out awards. And tonight we get to debut with the very first win for this franchise over the Dallas Stars, a new award. We are handing out the Kristen Shepard Award for Who Shot Dallas. Who shot Dallas? Okay, so the Kristen Shepard Award for Who Shot Dallas goes to its first ever recipient, and the game-winning goal score for tonight was Josh Doan. And look at him. Look at the face. Look at the face he's making. What incredible pride he has being the first ever winner of the Kristen Shepard Award for shooting Dallas. So there it is. Josh Doan. Congratulations on being the first ever winner of the Kristen Shepard Award. Congratulations to Josh Doan. All those hard days skating on a sheet of ice in Arizona were worth it. All of it was all worth it. So congratulations, Josh Doan, for getting the first ever Kristen Shepard Award. No one will ever take this from you. You're the first name that will ever be inscribed on the trophy, and will be the answer to a significant trivia question in the years to come. Okay, that is it, I think, for tonight's stream. We had a good old time talking about the great victory tonight by the Utah Hockey Club over the Dallas Stars. A performance that they really could have used earlier in the season, but again, you love to see some of the improvements and why we thought that they improved on that power play. Clearly giving more opportunities for a fresh power play unit like that second unit could result in more successful power play opportunities, and that's exactly what happened tonight. Logan Cooley continues to freaking rule. He's awesome. Congratulations to him on his third $250,000 entry-level contract bonus tonight for getting to his 60th point of the season. And, hey, he gets hot for a couple more of these games, these last two games. Hat trick, maybe. Like, maybe he finishes the season with the most goals of the year. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. Yeah. Scotty. Kristen Shepard, she was no joke on Dallas. Little even before my time. But a famous cultural moment around the primetime soap opera Dallas. The Kristen Shepard Award. Who shot JR? Kristen Shepard. Who shot Dallas? The answer? Josh Doan. Josh Doan. Game-winning goal tonight against the Dallas Stars. So congratulations once again to him. Okay, we had a good old time. Good old time watching this team. This offseason is going to be very, very interesting because I think there's a lot more anxiousness to get to the next level and to make that significant step. But again, we've covered how difficult it's going to be to try to climb in to the playoffs. There is somebody in the Central Division that you're going to have to kick out. And to do that, you're going to have to play some really great hockey. This team is going to finish with 87, maybe 89 points. To get into the playoffs, you need in the mid-90s in this Western Conference. It's just what it's going to be. And it's going to be that way for years to come. And so, for me, they're just going to have to, they're going to have to find a way to kick out a St. Louis, a Minnesota, a Colorado, a Dallas, or a Winnipeg. And the first step was getting a 5-3 victory over the Stars tonight. That is the best way to get this going. All right, again, hey, if you are just checking us out for the first time, welcome. Hope you've enjoyed your time here tonight. Usually like to keep these around an hour, and then we like to duck out. So I think we've covered most of what we're going to do. We will be back on Monday following the game against Nashville. And in that one, I will have a list showing two things. We're going to show all of the potential players that the Utah Hockey Club could offer sheet and who we think might make the most sense. We're also going to teach you a little bit about what the compensatory pick structure may look like, and I'll have a couple graphics ready to go for that on Monday. So that will be very, very strong. Very strong stream, and hopefully Utah Hockey Club continues to give us things to be excited about against the Nashville Predators. Great game just the other night that went to overtime, and if they get a win, a little birdie told me, there will be yet another trophy to debut if they get a win. So we will. There's so many things to look forward to on Monday night. Until then, enjoy your evening. Have a good Palm Sunday, and we will see you on Monday night. Take care of yourselves. Congratulations to the Utah Hockey Club on their big win. Congratulations to Josh Doan on being the inaugural winner of the Kristen Shepherd Award. And that'll do it. That'll do it for us here on Hive State Hockey. Thanks for hanging out tonight, Scotty. Thanks for hanging out, Car Wash. Fantastic time talking with you guys tonight. And I will see you on Monday night. Until then, you take care of yourself.